Your top stories this evening sponsored by Courts, bringing value home. I ask IRFAAN to demit office now. AZRUDDIN Mohammed releases first tranche of evidence in luxury vehicle scandal. Results of elections 2025 will be a close call. WPA urges Guyanese to stand guard and be alert. Men stumbled upon 465 pounds of cocaine while searching for crabs. The police said it's somebody drugs, hand it over according to a relative. And SOPHIA man remanded faces 10 charges after brawl with police officer. HGP Nightly News begins now. Good evening to our viewers here in Guyana and online. I am Travis Chase with the Monday, June 2 edition of the HGP Nightly News. We have what you need to know this evening. We begin with a developing story. Presidential hopeful and businessman AZRUDDIN Mohammed on Monday released what he calls the first tranche of messages allegedly proving that Guyana's President IRFAAN Ali instructed the Guyana Revenue Authority to release his luxury vehicle, which is now the subject of court proceedings. Here's more. After challenging his friend, now political foe, AZRUDDIN Mohammed, to release the evidence that he, IRFAAN Ali, allowed AZRUDDIN Mohammed's luxury vehicle to be cleared from customs with the valuation he submitted, the presidential hopeful took to social media Monday morning and released a number of WhatsApp messages between himself and President IRFAAN Ali regarding the importation of a luxury vehicle.
So I sent IRFAAN these messages. Chief, if I sent to register the Lamborghini to the license office and Stacia told them not to register it until he gives instructions. Chief Stacia stressed me and the old man over the last 5 years and stuff all about out of us when PNC was in power. First time I ever hear that the Commissioner General got to know when a vehicle registered. He said will be dealt with. I responded, okay, Chief, thanks.
AZRUDDIN Mohammed appeared in court last Thursday charged with false tax declaration and under-invoicing of a luxury vehicle. He pleaded not guilty. Mohammed claims that while the president claims to have no knowledge about the vehicle, he was indeed presented with the invoice.
Look here. This is the SWIFT transfer payment for the Lamborghini. It was sent through Republic Bank on the 7th of October 2020. This is Republic Bank stamp here. Foreign currency amount, $75,300, equivalent to 15 point something million. Full payment for one Lamborghini Aventador car, VIN number, remittance information.
Meanwhile, in a statement on his official Facebook page, President Ali, while not directly stating whether he did or did not facilitate the release of Mohammed's luxury vehicle, says, "My number is no secret. It is the same number I have had in and out of government. So having my number is nothing special. Thousands of Guyanese continue to contact me on various matters," unquote. Mohammed, though, is holding firm to his position that it was the president who helped with the release of his vehicle after initial issues with the Guyana Revenue Authority.
The day after, I shoot him another message, reminder about Stacia. He said, matter sorted. Then I received a call. Look, the proof here.
AZRUDDIN Mohammed has officially declared his candidacy for the presidency in the general and regional elections set for September 1, 2025. Soon after that announcement, he was hauled to court for alleged false declaration of taxes on one of his luxury vehicles. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. One political party is already predicting that elections 2025 will be a close call. The party, though, is still pressing ahead as it aims to defeat the People's Progressive Party Civic. Here's more. It is the view of the Working People's Alliance that the elections results of 2025 will be a close call. Leader of the WPA, Dr. David Hines, said that the reason for this is because Guyanese have not moved away from traditional voting.
Even without access to reliable polling data, WPA is convinced that the results of the elections would be as close as those of the last three.
Dr. Hines noted that given that the People's National Congress reform and the Working People's Alliance will contest the elections as a coalition come September 1, voter turnout will be important.
I think the outcome would be determined by voter turnout. With that in mind, WPA would in the next 3 months continue to expend a lot of energy in helping to mobilize a better turnout among the opposition's traditional base.
The bother, though, for the Working People's Alliance seems to be the Guyana Elections Commission. The party has doubts that the elections body can deliver free and fair elections.
We must make it clear that we remain unhappy over the behavior of GCOM. Nothing emanating from that body inspires confidence that the process would be free, fair, and just.
However, according to Dr. Hines, top of the WPA's agenda is to remove the People's Progressive Party Civic from the seat of government.
That party has in the last 5 years demonstrated its incapacity and unwillingness to manage our plural society against the backdrop of our rise as a petro state. The PPP's drive to dominate the state and society has militated against any transformative outcomes in the political economy.
Dr. Hines said as Guyanese prepare to head to the polls, they should be alert and stand guard to protect the integrity of the elections by publicly exposing and reporting on acts of fraud. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. With general and regional elections exactly 13 weeks away, government has moved to advance sweeping electoral reforms through the Representation of the People's Act 2025. The amendments aim to improve transparency, strengthen the electoral machinery, and hold key players accountable in the administration of elections. Tiana Cole is on this story.
During the 105th sitting of the National Assembly on Monday, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Annie Nandlal rose to move the Representation of People Act ROPA 2025. He explained that the bill is intended to fortify the electoral system, enhance transparency, ensure accountability of election officials, and establish penalties for any attempt to derail the process. The Attorney General highlighted that one of the significant changes is the creation of electoral sub-districts in Regions 3, 4, and 6. He emphasized that Region 4, Guyana's most populous electoral district, will be divided into sub-districts including the East Bank and East Coast of Demerara.
The intent of those amendments are to ensure that in these very populous districts, we have the tabulation exercise, which would ordinarily have been done by the returning officer in one central place in each electoral district. That this exercise will take place not in one central place, but will be done in electoral sub-districts, which we have created now.
AG Ford explained that a new officer referred to as a supernumerary returning officer will oversee the tabulation of votes in each sub-district.
But we are dealing here with electoral miscreants. And you can't leave anything. You can't leave anything to chance here.
Meanwhile, Senior Counsel and Opposition Member of Parliament Roysdale Ford expressed strong opposition to the bill. He argued that the government has repeatedly failed to present legislation that would ensure a fair, credible, and properly functioning electoral system. Ford warned that passing the bill would give the Guyana Elections Commission, GCOM, specifically the Commissioner of Registration, excessive and troubling authority.
Exercising discretion, Mr. Speaker, in relation to whether persons who are qualified to vote will be allowed to be registered, and to permit persons who are disqualified to remain on the register.
He added that 5 years after the 2020 elections, GCOM remains hostage to legislation and the government's failure to implement meaningful electoral reform.
This government has failed to implement the recommendations from every single election observer from the 2020 elections.
Ford also criticized GCOM for its lack of initiative in reviewing the last election or producing any internal assessment of the process.
They have failed to conduct a review, a comprehensive review. They have failed to identify any recommendations of its own.
Since the controversial 2020 general and regional elections, electoral reform has been a top legislative priority for the ruling PPC government. Tiana Ko reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Thank you, Tiana. Stay with us. There is more news ahead.
Welcome to SNL Electrical Inc., where lighting and electrical needs are met with expertise and style. From the latest in electrical lamps to durable cables, circuit breakers, panels, we have it all. Illuminate your space with our elegant chandeliers, stunning crystal lights, and versatile pole lights. Looking to upgrade your comfort? Explore top-of-the-line AC units and our diverse selections of stylish styles. Visit us at 170-180 Thomas Street, Kitty, Georgetown. Discover solution that not only lights up your world but transforms it. Call us on telephone number 226-3018 or 223-1634. SNL Electrical Inc. powering your life with elegance, quality, and care.
With 70% ethyl alcohol, Mighty Foam Hand Sanitizer eliminates 99.99% of all germs and even moisturizes in the process, leaving your skin clean and hydrated. Mighty Foam Hand Sanitizer. How do you stay clean?
Krishna Roth Establishment. No job is too small or too large. We specialize in all types of fabricating, machinery, excavator repairs, rice field pumps, and hydraulic hoses. Visit us at Lot 113, Block CC Monrepo, East Coast, Demerara, or call 220-9624, 616-9416, or 619-7880. At Krishna Roth Establishment, no job is too small or too large.
Welcome back to the HGP Nightly News. An interesting story is now coming to light 2 months after the police claimed that they unearthed over 400 pounds of cocaine in Region 1. It would appear that the accused men stumbled upon the drugs, handed it over to police, and were later charged with possession of narcotics. Here's more. The police's version of how they arrested 4 men with 465 pounds of cocaine at Imbotero, Region 1, on April 6, 2025, is being challenged by the family of the men arrested. Joanne Williams, the wife of Marlon Jerome, said that it is not true that the men were dealing in drugs. She said her family went crab hunting and stumbled upon the cocaine buried at Shell Beach along the Barima River.
When them was digging up the crab, them the boys been digging the crab like from the beach, and then both with something like down in the beach. And when them bring it up, is something there in the bag, and they don't know is what there in the bag, and then bring it.
She claimed that her relatives did not know what were in those packages. According to Williams, it became apparent that someone spied on the men and alerted the police when they offloaded those neatly wrapped packages at their home.
Did they sell any of it? Did they open any of it? Did they know up to the point before the police come what they found?
No, nothing been open.
Mm-hmm.
Everything been inside. Then say how them bring it, just so you went, and just so the police come and carry it, just so it didn't open nothing.
The woman alleges that when police arrived at her home, it appeared as though the cops knew who the cocaine belonged to and promised not to arrest the men if they handed over the cocaine.
The police them say is somebody they want it back and then give it to them. So that is the reason why I said that, well, they could have lost them. because it's not nothing that we making a living off and these things.
Leroy Williams, Patrick Sam, Anthony Lewis, and Marlon Jerome have all been arrested and charged with possession of the drugs. Williams is pleading with the courts and the police to be lenient with her relatives, claiming that they are not drug traffickers.
So when they come in the first time, they never doubt, then say, yes, the thing is it. Look at the and they give them it and they go on with it. And they never to bring them back. Tell them they go bring them back and they never to bring them back up to now. I'm not hearing nothing from them since they're gone.
In reporting the discovery to the media, police claim that they conducted a raid at the residence and the fuel storage barn of Anthony Hosea. That raid, according to the police, resulted in the seizure of 11 cellular phones and 3 handheld radio sets. No narcotics were discovered at the location. It is alleged that Berea fled the location with a firearm prior to the raid. Subsequently, the 4 men were arrested, and police claim that they directed them to separate locations along the Imbutera Creek, where several bags containing the cocaine were recovered. Berea was somehow later arrested. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. Guyana has taken up the presidency of the United Nations Security Council. For the next 30 days, the country will guide high-level discussions on pressing global issues, including conflict, poverty, and the protection of vulnerable populations. Find out more from Tiana Cole.
On June 1, 2025, Guyana officially assumed the presidency of the United Nations Security Council for the month of June. According to a statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, the month's agenda includes several mandated meetings of the Council, addressing critical global issues in countries such as Syria, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Iraq, Afghanistan, Central Africa, Sudan, Libya, and Yemen. Its scheduled session will also focus on UN Security Council Resolution 2334, which concerns Israeli settlements in Palestinian territories. On June 19, Guyana's President IRFAAN Ali will chair a high-level open debate titled, quote-unquote, Poverty, Underdevelopment and Conflict, Implications for the Maintenance of International Peace and Security. This session will feature briefings from representatives of the United Nations system and the African Union, along with participants from various UN member states. This debate aims to deepen discussions on the link between sustainable development and international peace and security, emphasizing how underdevelopment both drives and results from conflict. It comes at a time when global armed conflicts are rising, and the Sustainable Development Goals are not on track to be achieved by 2030. Later in the month, on June 25, Guyana will host the annual open debate on children and armed conflict. This event will include briefings by Virginia Gamba, Special Representative of the Secretary General for Children and Armed Conflict, and Catherine Russell, Executive Director of UNICEF. Member states are expected to respond to the Secretary General's 2024 annual report, which highlights an unprecedented rise in grave violations against children in conflict zones. Throughout its presidency, Guyana will also prioritize areas such as conflict prevention, the intersection of development and security, the impacts of climate change and peace, the protection of children, and advancing the Women, Peace and Security agenda. The Security Council's program of work is expected to be adopted on Monday, June 2. Following this, Guyana's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Caroline Rodriguez Burkett, will brief the media on the month's priorities and events. Guyana was elected to the Security Council for a 2-year term from January 2024 to December 2025. This is Guyana's 3rd time serving on the Council, following previous terms in 1975 to 1976 and 1982 to 1983. Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
You're watching the HGP Nightly News. Stay with us. There is more news ahead. Well, Welcome back to the HGP Nightly News. Our developing story, the Civil Defense Commission is actively responding to reports of significant structural damage caused by high winds across multiple communities in Guyana. Initial assessments confirm that several homes have been destroyed or severely damaged in regions 3, 4, and 5. Emergency response teams are on the ground coordinating with local authorities to provide relief and establish possible shelter for affected residents. Meanwhile, according to the Hydrometeorological Office of the Ministry of Agriculture, unstable weather conditions are expected to continue over the next 24 hours to 36 hours. Thunderstorms may bring heavy winds and lightning. Residents are advised to remain alert and exercise caution to protect themselves and their property. A 24-year-old man from Sophia was remanded to prison and slapped with 10 charges, including assault. A widely circulated video showed the 24-year-old involved in a physical altercation with a member of the Guyana Police Force. Tiana Cole reports now.
Shamar Williams, a resident of Sophia squatting area in Greater Georgetown, was seen in a viral social media video assaulting a police officer. On Monday, he was brought before the Georgetown Magistrates Court, where he faced several assault and traffic-related charges. Appearing before Senior Magistrate Fabia Zor, Williams was charged with assaulting a police constable and assault causing actual bodily harm. He pleaded not guilty to both charges and was granted bail in the amount of $15,000. He was also charged with damage to property, to which he again pleaded not guilty and was placed on $10,000 bail. However, for the charge of assault of a peace officer with intent to resist lawful arrest, Williams was remanded to prison. He is scheduled to return to court on June 23, 2025. Later that day, Williams appeared before Magistrate Shivani Laliram, where he was slapped with 9 traffic-related charges. He was found guilty of driving without a license and fined $30,000 or 6 weeks in prison. He was also found guilty of failure to conform to a traffic sign and fined $20,000 or 4 weeks in prison. Failure to wear his safety helmet, fined $10,000 or 2 weeks in prison. Breach of a one-way street, fined $20,000 or 4 weeks. Driving an uninsured motor vehicle, fined $30,000 or 6 weeks. Using an unlicensed motor vehicle, fined $20,000 or 4 weeks. Using an uncertified vehicle, fined $25,000 or 5 weeks. And failure to properly maintain the vehicle, fined $20,000 or 4 weeks. In addition, Williams was fined $150,000 or 30 weeks imprisonment for operating a motorcycle with an obscure rear identification mark. He pleaded not guilty to the final charge, failure to have a front identification mark, and was granted $10,000 bail on that count. Tiana reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Stay tuned for your regional news.
Good evening and welcome to Monday's edition of the Regional News. A federal judge prevented the Trump administration from invalidating work permits and other documents, granting lawful status to about 5,000 Venezuelans, a subset of the nearly 350,000 whose temporary legal protections and U.S. Supreme Court last week allowed to be terminated. U.S. District Judge Edward Chen in San Francisco, in a Friday night ruling, concluded that Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem likely exceeded her authority when she in February invalidated those documents, while more broadly ending the temporary protected status granted to Venezuelans. The U.S. Supreme Court on May 19 lifted an earlier order Chen issued that prevented the administration, as part of President Donald Trump's hardline immigration agenda, from terminating deportation protection conferred to Venezuelans under the Temporary Protected Status, or TPS program. But the High Court stated specifically it was not preventing any Venezuelans from still challenging Noem's related decision to invalidate documents that were issued pursuant to the program that allowed them to work and live in the United States. Such documents were issued after the U.S. Department of Homeland Security during former Democratic President Joe Biden's final days in office extended the TPS program for the Venezuelans by 18 months to October 2026, an action NUEM sought to reverse. TPS is available to people whose home country has experienced a natural disaster, armed conflict, or other extraordinary event. Former Suriname Foreign Affairs Minister Albert Ramdin was on Friday sworn in as the new Secretary General of the Organization of American States, OAS, promising to implement 4 new main priorities during the first year of his 5-year stint. Ramdin, a former OAS Assistant Secretary General, replaces Luis Almagro, the lawyer, diplomat, and politician, who served as the 10th OAS Secretary General. Ramdin praised Almagro for its commitment to peace, human rights, and democracy, and welcomed Colombian diplomat Laura Gil as the future first female Undersecretary General of the OAS. In his inaugural address, Ramdin outlined his vision for the world's oldest multilateral organization, especially at a time for geopolitical tensions, democratic backsliding, and social inequality. The search is continuing for persons missing and feared dead after a boat capsized near the district of the Albina Resort. All those on board are from French Guyana. Police have confirmed that 10 people were on board the boat and that 3 bodies have so far been recovered. The bodies of a 3-year-old boy, 46-year-old David Machino, and a 25-year-old Gerald Gape have now been recovered. After consultation with the Public Prosecution Service, the bodies were handed over to relatives and returned to French Guyana. The group was on the river near the border of Albina. 4 passengers survived the accident. The police said that the missing persons are 2 men and 2 children. The authorities say both the Surinamese and French authorities are deploying manpower and equipment for the search. Thank you for watching. I am Tiana Cole.
I ask Irfan Ali to demit office now. AZRUDDIN Mohammed releases first tranche of evidence in luxury vehicle scandal. Results of elections 2025 will be a close call. WPA urges Guyanese to stand guard and be alert. Men stumbled upon 465 pounds of cocaine while searching for crabs. The police said it's somebody drugs. Hand it over, according to a relative. And SOPHIA man remanded faces 10 charges after brawl with police officer. Those are our major headlines. For these stories and more, please go to our website. It's www.hgptv.com. I am Travis Chase. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.